The hasty attack is normally mounted as part of a battle group operation to seize ground or destroy an enemy force by gaining surprise and taking advantage of an opponent whose defenses are incomplete. The concept of the hasty attack is the same as for a deliberate attack in that it shall locate and define the enemy, isolate the objective, suppress the enemy, and concentrate forces at the critical time and place. Here, the combat team commander is the officer commanding the armor squadron. He leads the combat team as part of the brigade advance into enemy-held territory. A contact report initiates a whole series of coordinated actions.
0, this is 3 Bravo. Contact grid 118537.
The squadron battle captain immediately informs battle group headquarters of the contact. All elements of the team initiate their battle procedure, which results in concurrent activity according to drills and SOPs. Of prime importance is the effort of all to locate and define the enemy, then report this information to the combat team commander.
He has no missiles. Over.
The attack has begun, with the combat team commander following the normal process of a standard military estimate.
Okay, that's 3-2 is going to be working with 2-3.
In consultation with the company commander and the forward observation officer, he considers a number of key factors, including the strength and location of the enemy, the nature of the ground between the combat team and the objective, the time and space requirements, and an assessment of tasks for the coming operation. Then he considers the left, center, and right approaches to the objective. His maneuver options, which include armor and infantry operating on the same axis, on parallel axis, on converging axis, or locating the armor in a fire base with the infantry maneuvering on foot, and his dismount options, which would either be well short of, on, or beyond the objective. At this point, he is able to outline the fire plan, which could include direct and indirect fire from tanks, guns, mortars, and any available close air support sorties.
I want you to be able to engage that once I'm fighting through the objective.
An attack is launched between a half and 1.5 hours from the initial contact, with the timing determined by the mobility of the force, the distance involved, and the state of communications. Speed and surprise are of the essence in conducting a successful hasty attack, with preparation and planning time being traded for speed. Limited reconnaissance may restrict information to knowledge of the enemy position and the intervening ground.
Start this again. 3, a 2, a 1, a time, 0953 hours, sir. Okay, good.
Having completed his tactical estimate, the commander formulates his plan. He then sends out a warning order to his combat team, which directs moves of the assault element to an attack position and the fire support element to a fire base from which the objective can be engaged. The fire base is sited at an angle to the axis of attack to suppress and isolate the enemy for as long as possible before they are engaged by the assault element. It contains weapon systems which support movement of the assault element and destroy any detected enemy weapons.
Who's on the left?
2-1.
2-1. Okay,
The combat team commander then prepares his orders, which when finalized are usually given over the radio.
And then we'll go into a harbor down in that location I just gave you.
As the continuing flow of recce reports have indicated that an anti-tank ditch was being constructed adjacent to the enemy position, the team commander has decided to conduct a hasty breach as part of the assault. The commander also took steps to ensure the security of his line of departure and has detailed the required flank protection.
Okay.
While moving to the attack position, the assault element orients itself in the direction of the objective. In the attack position, the platoons marry up with the supporting tanks and adopt their formation for the assault. The length of time the assault element spends in this location must be minimized, as it is vulnerable to detection and engagement by the enemy. Indirect fire from artillery and other assets is essential to achieve isolation of the objective and neutralization of the enemy. The fire base lends its weight to the attack, providing direct covering fire for the assault element. At H-hour, the assault element crosses the line of departure and the first breaching of the obstacle begins. Under covering fire from the artillery and from the fire base, the breaching elements approach the anti-tank ditch to simultaneously force two crossings about 300 meters apart. Each breach is conducted by an armored engineer or bridge layer vehicles supported by tanks. As soon as the obstacle is breached, the assault element crosses and continues at best possible speed towards the objective. The APCs follow the tanks as closely as possible without hindering their ability to maneuver. As the assault element approaches the enemy position, the infantry company commander allocates initial objectives to his leading platoon commanders.
Charlie 3, this is 2-9er, contact grid.
Suppression of the enemy continues with artillery and mortars, with direct fire from the fire base and from the tanks and APCs in the assault element. Shock action will often be the deciding factor, as it combines the weight of fire brought down upon the enemy with rapid execution of drills and standard operating procedures. The infantry dismount as close to the objective as possible. The action is carried out in standard drill formation, which provides depth to the dismount maneuver and uses the ground to give the greatest cover from fire. The company commander dismounts to command his company in the assault. Once the dismount is completed, the APCs may move to a designated Zulu harbor under command of the Company 2IC or remain to provide additional suppressive fire during the assault. The depth platoon will likely remain mounted in dead ground to be employed as a reserve where they are ready to move forward or to a flank. The platoon commander monitors the progress of the attack and stays alert for orders. The tanks and infantry fight together in a coordinated action. The infantry provide a high volume of small arms fire to suppress enemy handheld anti-tank systems. They use standard drills to indicate targets to the tanks who provide covering fire against enemy armored fighting vehicles and emplacements. Now, the fight through the objective begins. It is aimed at seizing the key terrain in the objective area and so destroy the enemy's ability to defend. This will lead to his eventual destruction or capture. The enemy position is divided into a number of platoon and section objectives, which may be captured simultaneously or in successive actions. At this stage of the attack, in addition to providing support from the fire base, the tanks have other tasks which could include suppressing the enemy in conjunction with the dismounted infantry, maintaining momentum and providing cover from small arms fire, leading infantry to and through the objective area, destroying enemy AFVs and other weapons systems, and defeating enemy counterattacks. Most of the tanks fight through the objective with the dismounted infantry. Some halt just short and take up fire positions. Others bypass the objective to a position in depth, cutting off the enemy's withdrawal route and guarding against reinforcements. The remaining tanks adopt positions on the flanks. In the meantime, the infantry maneuvers to assault by platoon, section, group, and eventually by fire teams. They quickly gain a foothold in the enemy positions and then fight through as ordered in a series of platoon and section actions. Some fight within trench systems, while others fight from trench to trench. The company commander may order the mounted reserve to pass through or around the forward platoons to attack a depth position. It would be accompanied by tanks and supported by the remainder of the company. By assaulting in a coordinated manner, the tanks and infantry together have achieved the break-in and fought through to the objective, seizing ground and destroying the enemy's ability to resist. The consolidation is normally carried out in assigned areas beyond the objective, where the ground is suitable for defending against counterattacks. In some circumstances, ground or enemy action may dictate that it be carried out on the objective or even in captured trenches. This team is consolidating beyond the objective. While some of the troops adopt defensive positions, others are mopping up. The FU is busy adjusting the defensive fire plan, while Recce and anti-armor elements move to cover likely enemy counterattack routes. With the position now taken, service support activities can be carried out. The infantry company sergeant major has established a casualty and PW collecting point near the objective. From here, ambulances move forward to pick up casualties who are being given first aid while awaiting evacuation. The point also receives walking wounded and PWs who have been escorted rearward. The Armor Squadron Sergeant Major organizes the replenishment of ammunition and fuel, and maintenance teams carry out immediate essential repairs. On completion of needed service support activities, the combat team is ready to continue the advance. The hasty attack is used to exploit an opportunity and to gain or maintain the initiative. It maintains the momentum of an advance, takes advantage of an enemy's lack of preparation or his inability to react quickly, minimizes preparations, employs only those resources immediately available, and utilizes standard drills and procedures. In many instances, the combat team will encounter a well-prepared, strongly held enemy position that cannot be overcome by a hasty attack. When this happens, the entire force prepares and conducts a deliberate attack, with the combat team participating as part of the larger force.